All right. City Pigeons, episode 95. And boy, do we have a banger lined up for you guys. Thank you for joining in. I am here with Mike Meach, Eric
everyone?
Fink. I am Jesse Rendell. And we have our man back in the kind of quasi Goodhart bar, Mark Goodhart. Mark, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. So happy to be back. It's been a
Think
while.
Tank / Goodhart Bar.
Beautiful.
Goodhart Bar.
Very happy to have you in with us. Listen, tonight we've got the Smorgasbord. Did I say that right? Smorgasbord.
I don't think you could say it wrong.
Yeah, there's no way.
Buffet.
There's no way to say it wrong. We really leaned into the Smorgasbord concept on this because as we're thinking about getting ready for the Birds game on Friday night and for the season as a whole, we knew we had to ramp things up. And given the fact that, as I mentioned, we're unserious experts, in a social post today, we had to bring in some serious experts. So we tapped into our Rolodex. We got some wonderful guests lined up for you that are going to be coming on shortly. Are we all ready for this game on Friday night? And can I just say off the bat, I want people to stop talking about how they don't like that the game is in Brazil. Newsflash, the game is in Brazil. Deal with it. Both teams have to deal with it. I don't care if the players don't want to go. They're going. The Packers are going too. Go down, win the football game. Who cares that you can't go anywhere in Brazil? Treat it like a business trip, like you said you're going to. Get the job done. What else is there to it? I don't understand.
So I don't like that the game's in Brazil. You lose a home game against a conference team. That kind of sucks for real, though.
But I think it's a valid concern. You could say you
And
don't
it's a home
like
game.
going to
That
Brazil
means something.
for a game.
I hear you, but it's in Brazil. It's happening. Just get over it. Let's move forward. Let's get ready for the damn game. It's still a football game. Once the first whistle blows, it's not going to matter. Go play the damn game.
I mean, technically, we don't have to get ready for anything. The actual Eagles have to get ready for the football game.
I've been getting ready.
Yeah, I
I've
treat
been in the
every
mirror
game
practicing my Eagles
like I'm a
games.
player. I have to get ready.
You can, but in reality, we have nothing to get ready for. All we have to do is sit in front of the TV, maybe make our little notes, but we can't control the outcome or any events that transpire after kickoff. So it's really, what can I complain about? That the game's in Brazil and I can't enjoy
Let me
it here.
find something to complain about in advance of the game.
That's-
Mark, what are
that's
your
half of what
thoughts here,
sports
buddy?
is. What can I complain about?
My thoughts are I'm so excited for a Friday night football game. It's the first week back after summer. And to be able to look forward on this short week to a Friday night game, 8:15 p.m., I am so fired up. It is the best way to end the week. I want there to be more Friday night games. The NFL can play any day, anywhere they want. I'll be watching. Let's go. Let's end the week. And then Sunday, we just kick back, relax, enjoy football for football.
Mark really finds the bright side of
You got a
everything.
real point.
Now, what if they lose, buddy? No one's enjoying anything on Sunday. You have to look at the other. You always look at the bright side, Mark, and I love that about you. But I don't have a good feeling about the game. Just let's put that out
great.
there.
Here we
Fucking
go.
A, man.
Here we go.
Right into
It's
it.
going to get talked about, but it just the way now we lost our who we thought was going to be our starting linebacker.
Yeah, that was a little
and
weird.
now we're
Devin
finding
White.
out that he wasn't going to be our starting linebacker anyway, which that's kind of shady.
Yeah.
So I
It
just
just
think
sets up for a triumphant entrance by the Axeman Jr., right? Let's just be honest.
that would be awesome. But I just think it sets up for a bad game by
I don't
the
like your
Eagles.
vibe. Mark touched on something.
I
that-
love the Eagles this season. Let me say that.
Okay.
I'm not
that
thinking
makes us feel a little
negatively
better.
about the Eagles. I just don't like the whole Friday night, Brazil, lose a home game. Packers are hot. They got a really good passing game. This Jordan Love, I was wrong on him. He's pretty
Yeah,
fucking
he
good,
looks
but-
pretty
I don't
good.
like that they left Devin White home. That's so sad. I mean, imagine if you're him, you got to stay home. Like,
Is that sad though? Like, if I'm not playing this game, I don't want to go. What the hell is the
Well,
point
if
of
they're
taking
not allowed
somebody
to
down?
leave their hotel room. What do
Yeah.
you want to do?
Like, what's
Devin
the
White,
point?
travel with us and then
Now,
just stay in your hotel room.
I'm with you, Mark. I do like the fact that this gives us a Friday night. We're going to be hanging together, partying down the shore, watching the game. A lot of people are going to make a night of it. That is fun. And I like the idea that we don't have to wait until Sunday for the game. So hopefully it goes well and we do just get to kick our feet up and watch the game, watch all the other games on Sunday. Now, in the interest of making sure we're delivering premium content to all of you at home, anybody who's watching on any of the platforms, we have lined up a amazing list of contributors to join the fine program today and give their insights on what's going to happen with the Birds, which are far more significant than ours. So we are going to bring them on one by one. And the first esteemed gentleman to join us is going to be the Emmy Award-winning sports anchor and reporter from CBS3, one of the early guests on the City Pigeons podcast who had what many say was the best introductory soliloquy, where he mentioned, what was it, Turkish?
Yeah, the trade.
Meech had made a trade involving Turkish something.
I lost the.
I don't really know, but let's
podcast.
bring him in. Friend of the
I
show,
was betting
the
Turkish
great
something
Pat
over.
Gallen.
Yeah.
Pat Gallen, ladies and gentlemen.
My man Pat.
Let's get him in here. Let's get him in here.
What's up, guys?
What's happening, my man?
How are you?
I'm hanging, just listening to you guys chat about the game. I'm a little less fired up for it, I think, because it's not nearby. I know. Sorry, Jesse.
Right.
You don't like the fact that people want to talk about it being in Brazil, but it just feels like there's a little less juice, right?
If this was a week 7 game, I don't think I would mind it as much. But I like the week 1 game to be like something. I like it to be a local, even if they're not home. Like just, I don't know. I don't like the fact that it's an overseas game. It
It's
bothers
like an
me.
exhibition's about to happen.
Right.
Now, Pat, you are a bit closer to the ins and outs of like the players and the coaches and everybody getting ready for this. I'm of the mindset that both teams are dealing with the same circumstances. You know, it's still a neutral field. Everybody's got to go down there and deal with the same thing. But do you think that all of this plays into anything with regard to how the Eagles are going to perform or approach the game in any way?
Not really. Everyone's on the same playing field. Obviously, you've got to take the 9.5-hour flight, although Green Bay, I guess, is more like an 11-hour flight south. So it's a little worse for
Right.
them.
That's an
They're
advantage.
saying all the right things. They're saying all the right things, and they kind of have to. We saw Devontae Smith earlier this week talking about how, or not really talking much about it because it seems like he just doesn't want to go. And a lot of the guys, if you read between the lines, saying the right things, but you can kind of see the look on their face. They're not really looking forward to it. They'd obviously rather have a home game to kick off the year.
Or they say what they feel and then apologize like 11 hours afterwards.
Yeah, or it could be that. It could be that. But yeah, I mean, I think everyone's kind of in the same boat. Look, it's a business trip. We got to deal with it. So let's go down there, win a game, and then come home as quickly as we can.
Now, as we look at this game, we look at that season as a whole, I think everybody is going to be going into this season with the desire to be reassured that whatever happened at the end of the year last year was based on factors that were unique to what was going on, and that we've got a new group of people together here and that it's going to be different. What do you think in terms of how this game potentially plays out and how that storyline kind of plays itself out as we get into the season?
How the game plays out is a really great question, because even like Vic Fangio, for instance, was asked, what do you think about the defense? He's like, I have no idea. I don't know until I see these guys on the field together for a little while. And he said that's probably a question better asked midway through the season. So as far as this game, look, I think the offense is going to be better than last year. I think the tools there are better. The offensive coordinator is certainly better. Nick stepping aside and letting Kellen Moore be the guy, I think is a better idea from, his standpoint. The defense is always going to be a question mark. I think week in, week out, probably it's just going to be a question mark throughout the season. So I don't know. And I also wouldn't look, if they get blown out in Brazil, nobody wants that to happen. But the circumstances are such that you're dealing with 2 new coordinators, new pieces of the puzzle, a defense we don't really know a whole lot about, and you have to travel, whatever it is, 5,000 miles away to play your first game against a really good Packers team. So I would say in any direction, don't go too far with just one game. I think we really need to see, and this is hard for Philly sports fans to do. I get that, especially after the way last year ended. But I would say that no matter the outcome of this game, it's going to take a little bit of time probably for this team to gel. I could be wrong. Maybe in week 1 they shut down Jordan Love and the Packers and hold them to 9 points and they blow them out. I don't think it's going to be that way. But I do think long term for this team that they're in a much better position.
Now, I guess you're right. And we've seen this in years past, right? The first game, oftentimes, I mean, we've got a game here on Thursday night with Kansas City and Baltimore, rematch of the AFC Championship. And I can tell you for a fact, whatever happens in that game, at least from Kansas City's perspective, is not going to dictate, what happens with them. I think it was last year they lost to Detroit, right, in the opener, if I recall correctly. So good teams are going to brush that aside. But I think with what the Eagles went through last year, this is my nightmare scenario, right? Is we come out and they just get their asses absolutely kicked. And you're just like, oh my God, this entire regime, whether it's Sirianni, whether it's Hertz, the combination of both, whatever, is like doomed. And people are going to think that like no matter what, right? So I think from that perspective, all that pressure, all that weight, it is meaningful in that respect. I think we have to do everything we can to avoid that outcome because that is going to end up being an absolute problem here in Philly, at least. And that noise, I think, will affect them one way or the other. Don't you agree?
Could you hear that noise in my headphones? I'm actually doing a fantasy football draft here on ESPN during your show. And the ESPN tone just went off at the same time you said that, which is pretty cool.
Who did you get?
I'm actually on the clock right now. I have 1:30 left. Somehow I ended up with Breece Hall, and then Garrett Wilson fell, so I have both Jets. That seems like not a great thing.
Yeah, that's a lot of Jets, man.
Pat Gallen
That's a lot
loves
of
the Jets. I can see the
investment in
headlines
Jets.
now.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Okay, so do you feel like you have to get a running back here?
So I can. Pacheco's on the board.
You already got a running back. I'm sorry.
Pacheco's on the board. ETN, Nico Collins, Devontae Adams.
See, the funny thing is,
Wow, you're taking Aaron Rodgers here. Told you, he really loves the Jets.
the best thing is, if your team sucks, you can blame it on the fact that you were on the podcast while you were drafting and we threw you off. You know what I mean?
Really good point. I think I might do that. What do you think, Pacheco or ETN? Who would you go with?
ETN.
Pacheco.
ETN.
I like ETN. Dougie P, dude. You know he's going to hammer the rock. Well, he was kind of he bounced.
He catches the ball.
Go with Nico Collins.
Nico Collins?
No, oh, no.
All right, we're going Nico Collins. You
You
sold
want
me.
CJ Stroud's #1 target? You
Don't
want,
go Nico Collins. Don't listen to me.
Wait.
We want 1,200 yards and like 14 touchdowns, or
Can I just say
Or not.
on Nico Collins, he had a great year last year, but you got Diggs there too, right? So I think people
Exactly.
are underestimating the impact of having Diggs down there. Diggs could end up being the
You
number
got
one
Tank
receiver.
Dell back. You know what? Don't.
It's
You're
too
running
late.
out of time.
Did you take him?
ETN.
Dude,
ETN.
it's too late. I ended up with 2 Jets and Nico Collins, so we're in for that.
You should call your team that.
Now
Okay.
you can blame Meach and not the rest of us.
Beautiful.
I love getting blamed.
Now, Pat, serious question here.
Yeah.
So you're obviously not going to Brazil, right?
Correct.
Okay. If you went to Brazil, do you think that the atmospheric conditions would impact your hair at all? Because it just seems to have such a life of its own. It doesn't even look like there's product in there.
There is a little bit of product in there, but you're probably right. What is that above sea level in Brazil? Is that good for the hair or bad for the hair? I don't even know.
I would think the further above, the worse, right? Because you want the humidity of the ocean, or would that make it fall down? I don't know. I have no experience with this.
The humidity makes it curly and fall. So this is,
Okay.
that wouldn't be good for it. But it's a really great question.
I saw
Thank
that
you.
Philly sports guy's mohawk in Brazil, and that looked pretty solid. That was holding up pretty well.
There's a
so-
lot
Yeah.
of product
In
in
front of the
that.
Jesus statue, I saw him. It looked
Yeah,
great.
doing
Oh,
an
man.
Eagles chant at the Jesus
Not that
statue
guy.
in Brazil
You know,
with his face painted. God bless that guy.
I see the run that guy's on, and I just question my life decisions. There's no reason I couldn't have been that guy.
I'm just picturing.
wanna be that guy?
Still got time.
I'm just
Yeah.
picturing if the airline loses his suitcase full of face paint, he'd probably freak the fuck out. Like,
He'd have
what is my
nothing.
purpose here?
He'd have nothing. You know what I could do, guys? I could do like a thing where I cut the eagle wings in hair on the side, having nothing up top.
Please,
Pat, what do you
please
think
don't
about
do
that?
Please don't.
Please do that. What are you talking about?
Yes,
Don't do that.
Yes.
I got the
How long
barber
would that
for you.
take?
You can
Let's
definitely
do
take care of that.
Sounds like a great idea. All right.
I'd rather just get like an Eagles construction helmet with the 2 beers in it, with
Yeah.
straws into the mouth. Like
That's
it's you
what's
can
up.
just take it off when you're done. You don't have to.
I like that.
The
I
guy
like that.
ran into the Brazil beach to wash his face paint off. Did you see? I'm fascinated by Philly sports guys' Instagram feed in Brazil. It's just
Following him.
it's
That's
incredible.
amazing. I did not see
Nick's
that.
a super fan.
So,
I
Pat,
am.
where can people catch you this weekend? What do you got lined up in terms of the shows you're going to do, the coverage you're going to do? I'm guessing you're all in. We're all going to be out, gallivanting, having a good time, getting lathered up, and you got to do, the work of covering this team. Where are we going to see you? Where do we need to be tuned into?
So Friday night we have an Eagles
Only
special kickoff show at 7:00 on CBS. It's our prelude to the season essentially. So we're getting ready for Eagle season. 7:00 Friday night. And then we have Sunday morning, which is our normal pregame show spot. That's at 11:30 on CBS. And we'll be breaking down, essentially, it's become, a post-game show since the game is on Friday. But in between those two, Friday and Sunday, you can see my own show, which is called A Gallon of Questions. That is Saturday night, 10:30 this week, with who happens to be your next guest, John Gonzalez. Just so happens
Hold
that
on, watch
he was in
this
town and
synergy. Check this out.
we hung out.
Check out
and,
this
John is my
segue.
next guest
Something
on A
is
Gallon
wrong
of
with
Questions.
Hold on. Give me 1 sec. Something is up with my mouse. It's not working.
Once Jesse's
no.
mouse.
There we go. Hold up. Sorry. Let's get
It's
him in
working.
here.
It's working.
There we go. Okay.
There we go. Yes.
Let's bring in John Gonzalez.
This is a prelude to A Gallon of Questions.
John,
It was
how are
wonderful.
you?
I'm better now that I get to see Pat's smiling face again. We had a great time. Gallon of Questions. I don't want to speak for Pat. Probably the best Gallon of Questions ever. I mean, top 3 to 5 at least.
That's there. I would say top 30 to 40. It's way up there.
I made the cut though,
Jeez.
so I'll take
You're
it.
in.
That's like the
That's
City Pigeons
fantastic.
podcast was once in the top 42 podcasts in the city. So we can relate to where you're at with that, Gonzo. I have to point out that must have been a bit of a hair off between these two guys because they both, I mean, it's really remarkable. It's beautiful.
I heard you guys talking to Pat about his hair, and he's one of the few guys where, we get in the same room and I'm like, I'm not so sure. Cause usually that doesn't happen with me. I'm usually top of the list, but with Pat, I mean, it's beautiful.
And
gonna be
yours
tough.
too, John. Solid. What do you use in it, by the way? What's the product?
Just a very little, low shine,
Aquanet.
matte, I don't even know what
A
you call it. It's
pomade?
like-
Would you call it a pomade?
yeah, something like that. But it's I don't like it to be too shiny because my hair is kind of shiny to begin with.
Yeah,
Right.
So I gotta get the low shine matte.
understood.
Do you guys have
Understood.
any idea how much more I save on haircuts by doing it myself than YouTube lunatics each year? Should be
Listen,
jealous.
the barber thing is real,
Something
man.
tells me I just figured out why I'm not going to be a sportscaster.
Yeah, it's the hair.
Yeah, you don't
man.
have the hair.
You got no chance. By the way, welcome to
There's only a
Rocky.
few Van Pelts.
Rocky has joined the show here. He's got the Randall throwback. Rocky Roto. What are we today? Are you in your capacity as fantasy or
I'm just here.
you're just here?
I'm just here today.
All right.
I do have a question though before Pat leaves.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I guess John can also answer this. I want to know, what do you want to see the most out of the Eagles this year? Like, do you want to see something from the defensive line, from the new linebacker? What do you want to see the most aside from winning the Super Bowl? Aside from anything else, what do you want to see the most from the Eagles?
I can answer that straight away, and that is that Jaylen Herz is really an elite quarterback. I want to make sure that 2022 was the real deal and not so much 2023 because he clearly took a step back, but you can see that the tools are there, and the hope is that melding minds with Kellen Moore will obviously get him back to that level. So I think that's number one, because if you don't have a franchise quarterback and if you don't have pretty much an elite quarterback, then what do you really have?
It's a good
That's a good
answer. What
answer.
about you, John?
Yeah, mine is a little bit more macro. I would like for them not to face plant like they did last season, where they lured us all in and we're like, hey, this is a good team. They figure out ways to win and it's going to be great. And then like they pull the rug out from under us. And by the end, that was a mercy killing. I was ready for them to go away and be out of my life. So not that again. That's what I would like.
Yeah, if this was around the horn, I would have gave you both guys like +5 on that one. Like ding, 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 ding.
We got to work on that technology.
Yeah.
I would say in kind of related to Pat's point, and I do agree that we want to see that Jaylen Herz is clearly an elite franchise quarterback. But really, like for me, it's about not just Sirianni, but it's a lot about Sirianni. And I can't tell, to be honest, how much having the different coordinators really takes away, his fingerprints or what have you. But we have so much invested. Every time you change a coach, it's like a whole new thing. And it's like, it seemed like we had it. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh gosh, I just want to see that the regime we have between Sirianni, Hertz, everything else can still be like elite and then we don't have a problem. And Gonzo, we were talking about this before you jumped on. You might have heard, like, can you imagine if they go out there and get their doors blown off from the start and it looks like they picked up right where they left off in Tampa? Can you imagine what that would be like here?
It wouldn't be good.
See, I think it's a possibility, and I wouldn't. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, you're not Gonzo, but go ahead.
But I think it's a possibility. Like, I don't think it's that big a deal.
A definite possibility. In a strange way, that might almost be better. Because last year was brutal. I mean, that false sense of hope where you thought, hey, they could actually do something this year, and they were beating the doors off everybody. And I was out with shouts to, I'm sure, friend of the pod, Joe Murray, right before Thanksgiving. We went and watched that Kansas City game, right? And like they just figured out a way to win, and it's like they can't be stopped. This team is a team of destiny. And then we realized they could be stopped, and they were not a team of destiny. So if they come out from the beginning and are just terrible, at least you could kind of deal with that. I want it to be real, no matter what it is, one way or the other. If they're going to be good, I want that to be legit. And if they're going to be bad, better for them to let us know sooner than later.
That's interesting. Maybe it's better for them to stumble at the start and then build momentum, kind of overcome that. But I think it'll be different from last year. If they end up, let's say 8-2, whatever, 9-1, last year was so strange in the way that they were winning. And the fact that despite the fact they were winning, everybody was kind of like, oh, they still don't really look that good. I would be surprised if that happens again. If they get out to an 8-2, 9-1 start, hopefully they do so in a way where you can actually like legitimately believe in the team, because that seemed to be like a very unique situation. But interesting idea. Maybe if they start slow, I don't know. I don't love it.
You guys want to know what I want to see this year?
I think we do.
And this is an honest answer. I'm not trying to be an asshole or sarcastic like I am.
We like it when you are.
I know.
I don't believe that.
I'm trying to be sincere here. I want to see Saquon Barkley stay healthy, because when you, with the past 2 years, Swift and who was before him, Sanders, they both had over 1,250 yards rushing, right? Mm-hmm. And that offensive line's incredible. And if Saquon Barkley, who is marginally better than Swift, and
I don't think marginally is the word you meant meaningfully, substantially better.
Substantially,
right.
That's what I meant.
His hindquarters are substantially larger.
Yes,
correct.
He's substantially better than Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift. And if he could stay healthy, he could easily rush for 1,600 yards, and depending on if they give him the ball at the 2-yard line instead of doing the touche poosh.
I will say
15, 20 touchdowns.
The line, I'm interested, because taking over for a future Hall of Fame center like Cam Jurgens is about to do is not the easiest thing in the world. I think we had it good for about a decade where you just plug the guy in the middle. And
every single game for a decade.
Yeah, and now you have to put a guy who's a converted tackle to guard that the Jets didn't even want anymore. So look, Jeff Stoutland's got his work cut out for him, I'm sure. But even beyond that, on the line, on both lines, really across the board, depth, I think, is a huge issue. Maybe outside of, depending on what happens with the secondary, it looks like they have some pretty decent players. But I would say, like, across the board, depth worries me. If there's a major injury along either front, it could be a sunk deal.
Can I ask a question real quick? A little slightly off topic, because I came in late. I caught part of Pat's interview before I came on, but maybe you guys already addressed this. Pat, what kind of prison cell, basement, torture chamber are you in? Blink twice if you're okay, or if you need help.
Yeah, I'm being summoned by the person over here. No, I'm kidding.
Where are
this
you?
is just my setup. It's a weird.
I actually
spot
thought
in
he was
my-
trapped in a hotel room in Brazil, personally.
It's a weird spot in my bedroom where the desk just so happens to line up with this weird window behind me, and then like the
Okay.
pitched roof. I can't show you this way because my wife is actually folding clothes over here on the bed, so that wouldn't look
No
right.
comment.
And so
That
this
would
is
be a
the
great
best background you've
for
got.
All right.
You've got a desk in your bedroom, Pat. You are
do,
the
yeah.
hardest working man in Philly sports. There's no doubt about it. Now, Gonzo, are you coming to us from the West Coast right now? I think, right? Is that right?
I am. Yes, I'm in Los Angeles right now in my home studio. This is where we do all the CBS Sports NBA show stuff. Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay. Real quick, give us a little info on that so that everybody that's paying attention can know where to find you, knows what you're up to.
Yes, I host during the season. It's 5 days a week, but it's the off season. Mercifully, and the NBA is in hibernation, so right now it's just a couple days a week. But it's called Beyond the Arc. You can find that our YouTube page is at Beyond the Arc CBS. You can find us on the CBS Sports page. You can watch us on CBS Sports Network, and then also I don't know if you guys heard, big gallon of questions coming in Philadelphia with one Pat Gallon. So you can see that on Saturday, I
on
believe. The
CBS.
ratings through the roof.
So CBS Love
CBS
Fest.
is taking off right here.
Amazing.
Huge.
Real quick,
Teammates, bro.
because
Teammates.
you're I don't want to go off topic, but very quickly, because you're a specialist on the NBA these days and you know everything, you're deeper into this. Should we have belief in our Sixers this year that they can actually make a legitimate run? Very quickly, your thoughts.
Very quickly, I will say last time I was on this show, Meech cautioned me against hope because I was like, hey, Embiid could come back and anything could happen. I have not learned my lesson. I'm very optimistic about this team. The Celtics are incredible. The Knicks are extremely deep. The Sixers are right there with the Knicks challenge in the Eastern Conference to see if they can knock off the Celtics. Celtics are still the favorite, though, for sure.
Beautiful. Very exciting. Now, what's the vibe out
Feels like
there?
the mid-'80s.
Yeah, being an Eagles fan out on the West Coast, it sounds like I don't really get the feeling that people are taking the Eagles as seriously as you might think, given like everybody still talks, just like here, everybody still talks about what happened last year. What do you think is like the perception of the Eagles out there nationally?
Good question. I'm gathering with some other Philly expats in LA on Friday for the game. Some people who used to work in Philly media. Mike Levin is potentially going to be around. So we're going to go out and then some NFL Network people. I think, from the people I talk to, the division's weak, right? I mean, like they should win the division. They should be the best team in the division. And then beyond that, who knows what happens in the NFC. But you got to see it. You got to see it to believe it. And last year we thought we were seeing it. And then, as I mentioned earlier, it turned out not to be true. So I think people are skeptical, and they should be.
Now, how do you like watching games out there in terms of the time change? You adjusted to that? You enjoy that or not as much?
Oh, it's the absolute best. Are you kidding me? Sports out here, with the exception of, I don't know if you guys are into soccer at all. I am. I love the Premier League, but that's way too early. Like games are going off at like 4:00 in the morning. No thanks. But for every other sport, especially, with NFL and the NBA, like you have a national NFL game on Sunday and that wraps at 8:00 and you've got your night. You can go to dinner, whatever. You get up at 10 a.m. Games are already on. It's perfect. You're having coffee. You're watching NFL football. And it's like a completely different experience as opposed to, when I was at NBC Sports Philly and I did the Eagles post game show, the one after like the Gov and Michael Barkan. And it would be like me and Brian Westbrook at like 2 a.m. And I'm like, who's watching this? Like, who's up right now? Some sickos, maybe some of you guys, but I wanted to go to bed. So yeah, it's way better out here.
All 5 of us were watching. Don't worry.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Now, listen, Gonzo, that Philadelphia sign behind you, is that geographically correct? Is that pointing towards Philadelphia?
You have a keen eye, Meech. I like that you pointed that out. It is, in fact, pointed east. So that's the direction of home.
Jackson.
And then over this way is the beach.
Do you have any
Pat-
questions about my?
Pat, is that
Hold
wall
up,
behind
light.
you? Is that a shade of light gray or is that off white? Which
It is
is
it is in fact a gray. A keen eye for you, Jesse.
Yeah, the ladies are really into these neutral colors, man. Everything in my house is gray. It's just out of control. All right, listen, you guys are the best. We love you. Come back and see us. You got an open invite to come down to the Coop and hang with us, Gonzo, whenever you're in town. Pat, you know you're always welcome. We got to get you back on.
Fellas, we love you, but we got to shuffle you off. A much more famous person's about to come on.
Yeah, we got to get rid of you, dude. We love you guys, though. Seriously.
Go Birds.
Thanks, guys.
Go Birds. Thank you.
Go Birds.
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks.
See you, fellas.
John Gonzalez and Pat Gallen, both of CBS.
It's kind of
Uh,
messed up what you said.
they're
there,
wonderful.
Meech.
Yeah,
that was
Can I
not
just say,
cool.
Meech, the fact that you said Pat Gallen was going to be on OnlyFans, that I felt like that was a little unprofessional, but I like that you bring that to the show, and it's just something you got
That's
to
what I
do.
bring, unprofessionalism.
Thank you. Well,
Maybe,
our next,
he could get more famous that way. Is that what you're saying?
maybe he could.
Used
I
to
mean,
be
with
a
that
ha-
hair.
wasn't
Only
he
hair.
like a hand model or something
Absolutely.
like that,
No,
maybe?
hair
Maybe?
model. Okay, so our next guest, though, was a true professional athlete, that is. Part of the historic group of gentlemen that brought us our first Super Bowl, and an all-around fantastic dude. And we thank him for joining. Why is my mouse being so weird? Let's bring him in right here. Chris Long, welcome to the program.
Hey.
What up?
Holy now,
First ovation.
now hold
to
on.
A call-in guest.
we had Pat Gallen, a CBS Emmy-winning reporter, sports anchor, who showed up with nothing on the wall. And Chris joins us with 2 Lombardi trophies, which is just, we're not worthy of this. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I was gonna say it's kind of messed up what y'all did to those CBS guys. It's also
That's cool.
it's also messed up like for the listeners because they were like, oh, somebody famous. And then I
come
come
on.
out here.
Listen,
You know what I mean? It
you
could have
gotta
been
understand something.
Foles or somebody like that.
no. Listen, yeah, look, Foles, he did a lot. Don't get me wrong. But
That's my dude.
I like to think when the times were tough and the underdog mentality and we all we need, you were right in there with Malcolm and all those guys bringing them together. And we've talked about this, and I think at this point, right? You were there for it. You were there for the parade. Obviously you're down in Virginia most of the time, but you're coming back here. You'll walk in the streets here as a legend forever. And we love the guys who come out, brings the fur coat out for the parade. Like those are the things like we remember, like we always will have as a part of our DNA, thanks to what you guys did. So yeah, Foles, maybe he's got a slightly larger, but it's fine.
No,
you
I
were
mean,
amazing.
slightly,
We love
but,
you.
they don't talk. Yeah, slightly.
Yeah.
All right, but Foles, he was on my show last week. He's the man, and he seems like he's doing great in retirement. I'll just say this because I haven't really been able to talk about this on the pod before, but like you said, walk around as a legend, man. Like whatever I'm walking around as in Philly is great with me, man, because ever since we won that game, I got to tell you, it's hard to explain. There's a few things bigger, that kind of, there's family, and then there's like things that are right outside the scope of importance, like family and things that you can't go with it. There's some things I would never trade in for anything. And like my standing in Philly, whatever that is, it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. Like being able to walk into a city like that and people treat you so good and, they respect you and the team. Like, I mean, we're going on 7 years now. It's insane.
Crazy.
But every time you go back, you get so much love. And like, there's never a minute it gets old. And not in like, I love to be like the man, but there's a real kind of bond for me. It was crazy. 2 years in that city and I fell in love with the place. And the bond for me is indescribable. It's like one of those things, like I would trade a whole hell of a lot of stuff in my life, but I would never trade the relationship I got with that city. So I love it. I appreciate being on the show, Jesse. You're the man. You've been real helpful.
We love you too. I
with
just had
me.
to say that. Sorry.
And the coolest part about that team, it was the whole team was great guys. Like they were all legends. They were all like cool guys. There was no real corny dudes who a lot of championship teams have. The outsiders that really are. It was really a fun team to
It was
watch.
fun, No, but so I just say that every time it comes up, I'm like, man, that's no BS. I don't just say it to kiss y'all's ass. Like, there's just certain things in my life that are very sacred. And that's one thing that's just become really sacred to me over the last 7 years. And I don't have a lot of allegiances. You know what I mean? In my life outside my family. There's
you beat the team that you won the Super Bowl with the year previous. So
exactly.
Now, and I can't help but notice the 2 Lombardi trophies. Do you come from NFL family royalty? Your dad's he was a outside of Philly legend with Nova and came out with won a Super Bowl. But he's got one. You got two. Your brother Kyle's got none. Do you ever rub it into them like, yo, guys?
Well, they can do. Dad's got the Hall of Fame.
Like, is this how you FaceTime them with the two in the background?
No, the irony is like when we win, this, you got to go buy your trophies. Like they don't just give you a trophy.
Right.
You got to go to the guy that makes
like the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You think they give those out. You got to buy them and
you got to go
pay
buy
the
them.
upkeep each year.
Can I buy
Yeah.
one?
So I went and bought these.
Can you buy me
these two
one?
trophies? And I have you can. I think you can buy one. Because I got a studio and I like to have trophies in the studio, but then I was like, man, I like to have trophies at home, And so I noticed my dad had bought like 2 replicas, New England and Philly, and had them in his office. Like he won the things. And he's got plenty of money. So if he wanted to order 2 more, I think it wouldn't be a problem. So one night under the cover of darkness, I snuck in and I took those trophies. And a couple weeks later, he was like, man, you've been stealing my clothes since you've been wearing a 2X. And now it's trophies. And I'm like, it can't really steal back my own trophies, Dad.
Right.
So these are actually formerly my dad's. And I got to say that every time somebody's like, yo, love your trophies. They're actually my dad's. I stole them back. But we've got, I think, New England up there and Philly up there. And then this is my favorite thing. This is like, I'm like a total boomer here, like showing you cool stuff. But this thing right here, I give the trophy back. I give the ring back before I give this stuff back. This stuff, there's only so much of this stuff that was on the ground there. And I did the same thing in New England. The first thing I did, I walked out with my Papa John's, and me and Nikovich are scooping that shit up because when I was in St. Louis, we had a D-line coach, old Marine, Mike Waffle. And when times were bad, and they were all the fucking time, I don't know if I can cuss on this thing, but
Yeah. You say anything you want.
Yeah, okay. Well, it was fucked up in St. Louis, but we had a really good D-line, and we used to just Mike Waffle used to walk in all the time because he was the Giants D-line coach when they won the whole thing, which is sore subject there, but that's a long time ago when they beat Brady and everything. And he would say, "My only wish for you guys is to have that confetti fall on your head." And it sounded like the dumbest thing in the world, but it just got in my head, and I was like, I need some of that fucking paper.
It's funny. I was just thinking, like, I was trying to remember if I ever did anything where there was confetti involved, and I honestly don't think I have. And it's an empty spot in my heart. Maybe I can figure out. I got my I got the procedure done. I can't have any more kids, so I can't do like a baby gender reveal where there's confetti or anything like that.
Yeah,
I got to think of something because I would love to collect my own confetti.
No, you know what's interesting? I was actually at the game in Minnesota.
Oh yeah,
and a bunch of the confetti was like blowing into the stands and stuff, and I just saw that there, and I'm thinking, it was so emotional. I was in such awe. I was there with my uncle and my brother, and we're like hugging and crying, and now I look at that and I'm like, dumbass, you should have grabbed some of the confetti.
I got a ton of
but let's be honest.
Man. Yeah, I got a ton of confetti.
If you just went out and bought some that was kind of the same shade and then got like a nice frame for it, like I think
you get a shadow box for some party starts here kind of confetti.
All right, so Chris, first of all, I'm a big fan of everything you do with Greenlight. As you know, you remember I saw you out. I stalked you at the Super Bowl. That was the year the Eagles were there, man. I was out there at your spot saying what's up. At that point, you're probably like, I don't know about this guy, but I was a big fan of what you guys did. And do me a favor and just make sure everybody that's on knows what your schedule is for football season, because I know now you're doing a couple times a week, right? And then you're doing the NFL today, or clarify this.
The NFL. So like, listen, you guys, this is a great pod. There's a lot of birds talk here. If you want to supplement some other teams in there, because we do cover them all, like although some people accuse me of being a homer, no matter what I do, then check us out, because the show's called Greenlight. We do 3 shows a week during the season. We just wrapped up our division previews, so we hit all the teams, and that was a lot of work. But now we're into the swing of things, and y'all know this, like the off season's harder than the season. The season's hard work, but it's served up for you every day. There's something to talk about, and so I'm really excited to get going. We all love that hit of dopamine the first day you open up your app on a Sunday and the full slate staring you in the face, including this year we got 3 4 p.m. games in a lot of situations, which I think is big. They were maxing that thing out at like 2 games in the past, and Hanson from Red Zone told me and others that we're going to have more 4 p.m.s, which is great. So anyways, long story short, Monday we've got our live show where we hit all those games. That usually happens about 1 p.m. And it's going to be me, myself, or me, Dr. Fax, and Dr. Fax, Nate Collins, who used to play in the league, and my college teammate. He was my rookie, had him on, his visit.
Big Nate fan. I talked about fishing with Nate when I was out at the NovaCare, and I'm not like a fisherman, but I think we bonded over that fact. That was a very fun conversation.
He caught a catfish this morning, put it in the group chat. But Nate's going to be on there with us, and then Bo Allen, who y'all know real well. We're bringing Bo up in the ranks, trying to get him media trained. Not that this is a long, kind of process. Just he needs reps, just like I needed.
You can't contain Bo.
You can't contain him, bro. No. You can't. And then we've got the Wednesday show, which is me, Stanford Steve, Making Gunner, my co-host, and we hit a lot of college football, but we also hit the Monday night game and whatever else is going on. And then something I'm very proud of, and I think people would enjoy, is like, hey, if you want to know what's going on going into the weekend, like we're going to hit some lines and gambling sort of thing. But I love going through the games at the end of the week, looking ahead to the matchups, because I think there's a real void in like matchup kind of centric analysis, like truly the way we would talk about a game. These are the position groups that are going to have trouble in this particular game. This is a matchup you have to watch, and it's not just the receiver on a corner. We'll talk about the guard. We'll talk about the swing tackle. We'll talk about whatever. So it's 3 shows a week. It's review. It's kind of a grab bag in the middle on Wednesday, and then Friday we've got our preview show, which I
got a quick question. So I'm in a pool with a bunch of people from companies to work at, and we pick like 5 games against the spread. Pot's pretty big. Every week I'm looking for these kind of nuggets. When you talk on Fridays, are you talking about against the spread, or is it more like, who's going to win the game? I assume you always are, right?
Yeah. So we usually do pick 3 and have like a competition to see who can pick the most winners, and winners being like overs, unders, side against the spread, whatever it is. We're not going to let Stanford Steve be like, yeah, I'll take Bird's money line. It's got to be something that's realistic here, where you're not just taking the easy way out. So we're actually going to pick 5 this week, and I love team totals too. By the way, while we're here, because it's all I'm thinking about is the board, the Cardinals team total over 20.5 going to Buffalo. That one seems kind of funky to me. Like, I feel like the offense is going to be pretty good this year. I don't know about the defense. We saw that last year when we played them. That offense got off on us a little bit. And then I also like Tennessee this week. I like a couple teams catching 3.5. Jacksonville, Miami's.
Meech is writing this down.
Yeah, I like Jacksonville. Now, if you guys lose a bunch of fucking money, don't call me. But,
that's all right. Meech is very accustomed.
We lose that money on our own anyway.
No, I do too. I just
knows the deal here.
Early in the year,
the information, and then I break it down after that. Don't worry about trying to lose me money. Just give
Tennessee.
me the
I like Tennessee. I like Tennessee.
Arizona team total 20.5, right?
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh because it makes no sense. Everybody's going to be on the Falcons, one of the hottest teams in the league this year from a narrative standpoint, and they might not be the best team in that division. And then I really like Tennessee. I think Caleb Williams could be spectacular, but I just kind of hedge my bets. I know that he's got a good setup, but not a lot of number 1 pick quarterbacks go out week 1 and win. And I think Denard's going to do a good job. He was in Philly with us. I think he's going to do a good job with that Tennessee group.
Yeah.
So I can't wait.
That's awesome. Hey, we didn't expect you to be giving out, bets. We appreciate this. Now we got to ask you, as Eagles fans, we're in a very unique position, right? We got a Friday game in Brazil. That just feels weird rolling off my tongue. What's giving everybody a lot of pause around here is we hear all these players talking about how much they really don't like the scenario in terms of what they can and can't do. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, but the Packers have to deal with that too. Like, go down there, win a game. We're coming off the absolute collapse last year. We're just trying to – I'm looking at it like this. I'm putting all my eggs in the basket of it was the coordinators, right? Now we have Kellen Moore. Now we have Vic Fangio. Like, these guys have experience. They're going to be more creative. They're going to use all the weapons we have. It's going to be okay. But everybody's worried that we're going to see, any of the what happened last year kind of carry over, and we're going to think it's Sirianni and Jaylen's not a franchise quarterback. We're in very tough place here mentally, Chris. We need you to help us.
Well, I personally can't help, but I can give you my opinion. My opinion, Jesse, is that last year the coordinators were not the right ones, and the defensive backfield depth got exposed. The linebacking core, the guy they let walk in, it's only late at night, so I can think of his TJ Edwards in Chicago.
Yeah, he's a baller.
The guy they missed CJ Gardner-Johnson last year. They missed, they let some guys get away. It's just like that Isaac Seumalo thing a couple years ago. You're like, you lost Isaac Seumalo. Still thinking about that, right? So there's some, like, even though the coordinators, just by hiring new ones, I think Kellen Moore, the vibes have been good in camp. Like, if vibes are worth anything, they're going to go undefeated. The vibes are really good there. But the bullets haven't started flying yet. And then defensively, I'm a big Vic Fangio fan, but he does have some young guys in the back end that we're kind of being like, yeah, he's gonna be able to play. The kid from Toledo is a stud. They like him, but we haven't seen him like in real game. And he might have to be put in some positions because Cooper DeJean supposedly, and this is Fangio saying it, not me, is like, and he doesn't mince any fucking words, this guy. You got a chance to meet him at NovaCare, it's like 2 words. And he's perfectly nice, but when he got done eating, like at the table with me, Dom and Jason and Bo, and like he just grabbed his food and got up. He didn't say like, see y'all later. Like, he just like, so I love he's no bullshit. And,
no nonsense.
And when he gets up at the podium, he'll tell you what he thinks. And I think his quote, and I'm paraphrasing, was like, hey, Cooper's as good as he could be right now, but he's not where he needs to be. And that to me tells me, yeah, well, this guy, he was hurt most of camp. When I saw him, he was walking around in mesh shorts. And, I think everybody's excited about him. But these things take time. And then Devin White, hearing whatever we're hearing over Devin White, I thought the Bond pickup could prove to be pretty important. Nakobe Dean's health, like, just when you think the linebacker room is kind of fortified, you're always going to be looking at depth at that position. And I think there will be an adjustment with the back end, which is the only thing I worry about going down to Brazil is the secondary. Like, this is going to be – Matt LaFleur is a hell of a coach. And they'll get into that cheat motion. They'll get into the pre-snap stuff where you're like, you got to communicate back there. And so I want to see how these guys communicate with each other. I'm really excited CJ's back. I'm excited that Slade feels energized, except he's not real excited to go down to Brazil. But he's
well, no, he apologized. He's fine now.
He did.
That was a question I have for you. Yeah. Like he started saying like Z motion and stuff, and I'm like, I don't really know what that means, but I'm sure it has.
I said cheat. Sorry, I meant cheat. I said cheat. Which
spider, wide banana. I don't know.
This is not. I'm not some genius, but they're going to have guys running pre-snap.
Yes, which they didn't have. Like last year, you heard Kelsey talk about it, like simplifying things. But here's my question for you. From a player's perspective, number one, where did you ever play a game out of the country? You must have.
Yeah, I think I did in London, but somebody said we got beat 44-7 by the Pats, and so I don't really remember that. But it is a pain. Like London was a lot of fun, and we went down early, which was cool. I think for Green Bay, they're one of the youngest teams in the league, so that's a challenge. I would lean on. Listen, Big Dom's a secret weapon. Big Dom keeping these guys in line. Organizationally, right? It's important to have a group that's been there, done that, been in big spots. Like they just played in a Super Bowl 2 years ago. Some of the mechanics of like taking a team on the road, staying there for an extended period of time, even though they're getting in and getting out, and that's a thing too, which takes a lot of coordination in and of itself. Like they have some experience with this. I don't know, honestly, how either team's going to handle it because this is a shit show. I'm not saying anything about Brazil. I don't know what Brazil's like because I don't think I'm getting a permission slip to go to Brazil. I'm 39. I have
there's a lot of thongs down there.
Yeah, that's not even on my bingo card. So I just look at Brazil and I say it's a long way away. It's a situation where, as a player, I always hated flying in and flying out. But coaches will tell you, if you give them the other end of that thing, which is, coach, we need to be here like a week early. the safest thing for our team, and I don't mean because it's dangerous, but because it's like you're out of your routine and for your body clock, supposedly, is to get in and get out. And so I think just it depends on who's going to do the tactical strike thing, who's really ready to treat this like a business trip out of camp. And to clarify, Jesse, when I say they're going to be cheat motioning, I'm talking about Green Bay is going to have a lot of window dressing. You know, you see like San Francisco, you see LA, the way they're pre-snap, they're going. The play starts when they break the huddle. And I think LaFleur is great. So I'm really interested to see how plugged in Vic's guys are on the back end, because some of the coverages, some of the late rotations that he asks the guys, I worry about young players. So that's my biggest worry. Otherwise, I think this is a better team. And I don't say that lightly because I think Green Bay is a pretty good team. I got a chance to see both teams in camp. And I'm a fan of Green Bay's. I like Jordan Love. Dontavian Wicks went to my alma mater, got to know him growing up. There's a lot to like about this team. But I think ultimately the Birds' experience of being in these spots, they have a little bit more. Now, nobody's been in this spot.
Are you predicting it? Are you predicting that the Birds will win the game, or
I think the Birds win. I think the Birds win the game. Now they might.
Do they cover? Do they cover?
Wait, do they cover?
I'm not betting. I'll put it this way: I'm not betting the game.
Take generally, the over, right?
You're not betting it.
Honestly, I'm not betting a side. I was looking at the under.
Really?
I was
the way you're
under.
talking about the Packers picking on the young defense. I'm penciling in the Packers.
But it's got to be a high number, right?
There's just always a chance on a long trip that teams come out flat. There's always
also a chance that the Brazil the field turf is not meant for football.
That was my next point. And when you have a bad field, and that's the word, that the field's not great, like it could go one of two ways. It could be a slippery field where you got DBs falling down and you get explosives, and you get a cutback lane that goes for 60, and like Josh Jacobs hits his head on the goalpost, or it's dudes that can't dig in, and it's a little bit, like the sod is thick. And here I am talking about grass again, guys, but I really do. I'm an enthusiast.
He's my mortal enemy.
We've been burned before on this old grass thing.
I'm preying on that guy's death.
Do you know this, Chris? We asked the group who the most important player was this season, and Fink answered Big Dom. Do you think there's any truth to that?
I'm never going to argue with a guy who said Dom's the most important guy in the building. All right, like I'm just never going to.
By the way, Chris, Fink has the best hoagie shop in Philadelphia here.
I got to check it out.
Whenever you come here, you let me know. I got hoagies.
All right, brother.
Like they're best of Philly. They're award-winning.
Fink,
the best goddamn hoagies in Philadelphia.
All right,
he's going to be in Philly. Yeah. Now
I'm here I'm there pretty much every week for doing the Inside the NFL thing. So I gotta check it out.
Well, he'll send you a tray.
Call me up. I got you.
We got to do some housekeeping here. You're going to be there. That's in like Mount Laurel in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not far.
Yeah.
One of these days when you're here and you have some extra time, which I know you don't have much of, you got to come in here.
Look how much time he's given us
tonight.
We appreciate
very generous,
Chris.
No, dude, the kids are in bed. That's why you asked me to come on a show at 8:30. I'm like, oh, there's not really a lot of pushback there. My wife, do you think my wife wants to hang out with me right now?
We got to get you into the coop here and get you to meet some of the people in Philly that love you. We'll set that up for one day. But cool. I don't know if you noticed, I'm wearing my team dinner shirt. Okay. So we got to talk about this. And I got a question for you, because I designed this shirt. Nobody got in my way, but it actually says on the back, Barwin Long, which I think is a little awkward. It says Barwin-Long. And for anybody who doesn't know, we had an event last year for the Make the World Better Foundation in partnership with the Chris Long Foundation at Stake 48, the inaugural team dinner, which I think Chris was like, I don't know what the hell this is. But after it all went down, we were like, we got something here. We're running it back in December. So Chris is at least going to be in town for that.
So we're getting the invite this year. Right?
We'll see.
You guys better be there. Bring some damn hoagies, man. And hey, that was a great event. And as if Connor needs to get glazed anymore in the city, he's one of the best people. I mean,
he's the
and
man.
Jesse, same thing with you, but like Connor, it was so funny to me because when he left Philly, we were 2 ships passing the night. He was going to my old building, even though the building was in LA now. And I was going to his old building, and we just exchanged notes. I mean, he was like, these are the people you're going to love. Dom was one of them. These are the guys, like, you got to get to know. These are maybe the people to watch out for. I don't remember that list, but I gave him the same. But just watching him from a distance, everything he's done off the field, then getting a chance to climb Killy with him, he did that for me. That was a major solid. He smoked that mountain. That dude's in shape, and we just clicked like late in our careers, and then post career more than anything. Like we become really good friends, and I don't like talking on the phone. Like CB will call me, and I'm happily on the phone for an hour talking ball. He's a great person, and Make the World Better is awesome. So getting together and doing the team dinner was like a dream come true, especially because Jesse and Connor, like we know Philly, but that's Mr. Philly, you know? And so it's a great cosign, and we had a lot of fun. And when we played in the league, as Connor likes to point out, and this is how he thought of the whole thing, you know, we used to go out to dinner late in the week as a team. Well, not as a team. A lot of times it was like the D line, and sometimes we might let some DBs in and shit. But it was a really important bonding experience. Like you can't understate how important it was to get together outside the building. And we did that a lot. And so we've kind of sold it to people as like, this is the same atmosphere that we're trying to create, is like, we are a team. We're not going to go every week. That will get expensive, but we're going to go once a year and try to make it a tradition. And it's been very, very beneficial for our foundation. And I think Make the World Better was happy with it as well. So hope to see y'all out there in December. Anybody listening?
Yeah, if anybody's watching this and you work for a company or anybody you think might be interested in supporting the event, it's at Stake 48. It's going to be on December 9th, which is the day after the Eagles play Panthers.
We picked that one for a reason.
Yeah. Hopefully we get to blow their doors
last year, Jesse, we picked
God.
the date, and it was like after one of the worst games, dude.
Yeah, but at the same time, I said to myself, we should do this after the Niners game, because that game is going to be like full tilt. Like everybody's going to be geared up, and it couldn't have played out better going into it. I was like, yo, if we win this game, it's going to be so great.
Oh, I know. Well, then Dom got like
the shittiest team in our schedule.
Oh,
right?
but yeah,
that was
remember,
a good move, though,
this is what happened. Little story. The game is obviously the worst ever, and everyone's salty about it. But that's the game where Big Dom had the altercation. So we're there for the event, and we hear, yo, Big Dom's coming. Big Dom's coming. Big Dom comes in the building, and we had BG and all these other former players and all that.
And he gets standing up.
Big Dom comes in. Every person won his picture. It couldn't have been better.
Moses, dude. Fucking Moses. Guy walks in the building, and the whole like hallway opens up, and like people are like backing up and clapping. And you know, he's got his little Cartier glasses, and he's like, Paisan.
Like, what other franchise in pro sports has a Big Dom? Nobody. Like
nobody, bro.
There's not one guy where you could say, oh yeah, I know even what the security guy looks like, let alone his nickname. Yeah, I mean,
the next most famous like non-football staff guy. And this is like, I wouldn't even put him in the same category, but like, you know, McVay's got a get back guy.
Everybody the get back guy, right?
But nobody wants to see the get back guy at the charity dinner. Like when we walk, when Tom walked in, I was like, we're gonna raise some money now, dude. But I couldn't like BG came, a couple of the guys showed up, and I'm like, after a loss like that, and these guys are doing the best they can. I've been in those situations where we used to get beat on the reg in St. Louis, and I used to not have groceries because I was too embarrassed to go to fucking Whole Foods. Okay, like I wouldn't even go out for a week. Okay, so and we didn't have like DoorDash and shit back then.
Right. Yeah. No GoPuff.
Oh my gosh, it's so easy to stay out. I actually have a friend who tells a story about how he was shopping for groceries in Whole Foods, and he ran into you, and you told him there was something special about that team, which eventually went on to win the Super Bowl. And he tells that story everywhere. I hope he's watching right now. If nothing else, he'll watch the replay. But
sounds like I wasn't lying, dude. Sounds like I wasn't lying.
No, right. Well, look, we appreciate everything that you did for us in that season. I know you were here for what seemed like a short moment, but you're
officially from here.
You're officially from here. Yep. Your presence.
Hashtag from here.
From here. What do you always say, Fink? The quote is that you love that Chris said? Come on.
Anybody could have got it. Everybody loves that quote, but it was so fucking true. It was like, who do these guys think they are? They go down, score the first drive. I'm like, you guys would be fucking kidding me. You think you're gonna win this game? Like this place is gonna erupt the minute we do something, and we did. So yeah.
Well, we thank you for everything you did, and we're looking forward to having you back in town. You always got a place to hang with us. We'll see you in December, if nothing else. Go Birds.
Go
Good luck
Birds.
with Greenlight and everything you guys are
dude, your
doing.
pod's awesome. Get that Kelsey podcast money, man.
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Tail that.
It's
You got
hard.
that,
It's
man.
hard to get paid like Kels, baby. Hey,
Yeah.
appreciate you guys. Your pod's awesome. Can't wait to get in there and see the studio.
Tell Bo Allen to start dating some country star or something. Maybe.
Hey,
Bo does pretty well for himself now.
Yeah, I don't believe. Yeah,
I saw him in
he's
Seattle.
that
Kelsey's
country,
event.
yeah, he's that country guy. I'm sure he loves that.
I saw him this weekend. That wasn't bad either.
Yeah. He's
All right,
the man.
dude. Thank you so much for joining
You're
us.
the
Good
best,
luck
dude.
with everything you're
Appreciate
doing.
it.
See
Catch
y'all.
up with you soon. Thank
Go
you.
Birds. Go Birds.
All
Go
right, go
Birds.
Birds, baby. Oh man, that was great. All right, we're just we're just gonna keep it rolling because we got the
Keep it
episode of a
rolling.
lifetime going here, and we just go from one legend to another because we know this next guest is on her way to Chris Long-esque success, and no one is allowed to boo her when she joins this show. Do you hear me? No one. Only cheers.
Yeah,
Welcome to the program, our friend Devin
Give it
Caney.
up. Give it up for Devin Caney.
Devin.
Thank you.
How's that?
Thank you.
Standing up. I had to intervene.
Eric, I feel like your cheers were a little sarcastic, didn't feel super heartfelt. But it's fine. I mean, I deserve that for following up Chris Long. I kind of feel like I was.
Mine
doing a
was
little
sincere,
dirty here.
Devin. My
Yeah.
cheer was sincere.
Deb,
Oh,
can I
thank
be
you.
honest?
I know it was. Thank you, Meech.
I didn't I put a message out to Chris earlier to see if he would come on. I wasn't sure he was going to come on. So I don't want you to think it was a very last minute development. I didn't want you to put you in a position where you follow him, but I think if anyone can follow him, it's you because guess
Absolutely.
what? We've only had one guest on the podcast that has ever perfectly predicted a score to a game while on the podcast, and that's you. Now, I don't know if you've thought about the score for the game. I'm going to let you kind of put that on the back burner.
Yeah,
as we-
marinate on that.
let's talk about
for the
this
duration.
as we get ready for the game on Friday. The first thing I'm interested in hearing is what is your plan, your commitments. By the way, are you doing? Do you have any plans around Eagles games this year? Are you more of a free agent? Can we get you involved with some City Pigeons watch parties? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, I'm not super committed to anything on game days. I'll be doing stories and appearing on Fox 29's NFL Game Days that airs on Sunday mornings, which this Sunday is going to be a little weird because it'll be more of a post-game situation.
Right.
And this Friday, I'll be down at the link at kind of the WIP pregame show, but just the event space around it. But otherwise, no, I'm not doing a post-game or set pregame show. So I'm down for whatever you guys have in mind. I hope you guys are going to host some tailgates because your tailgates are always my favorite part of football season.
I know, but you know what, Dev? The truth is they're really hard. I know this.
I know,
We're going to
I
throw
know.
one.
Yeah.
We're going to go, Fink trying to get down there and deliver the hoagies in and of itself was a quagmire, right? So we're going to, at a minimum,
strong
use
word
smorgasbord
justifying that to
quagmire
think
tonight.
because I had to carry half of those hoagies most of the time. So I
Well,
understand the struggle.
you're a true soldier. Here's what I know at a minimum. We have our sights set. First of all, there's barely any home games until later in the season. I can't make it down for the first game. My bad. Everybody go have fun at some other inferior parties. But for the Jacksonville Sunday night game, Dougie P comes back. That one we have circled on the calendar. And right now we're just going to put all of our energy into one gigantic party that takes over the world. So make sure that you're there. But if anybody's listening and you have an establishment or anything that might benefit from a City Pigeons plus Devin Caney situation, we're open to any offers, just like if you want to buy the podcast, similar to the New Heights situation. So please do reach out to us. Sounds like Dev is available, and let's get it done. Fink, are you game for that?
I love that Tom in the chat. First of all, hi, Tom, because everyone but Fink carried the hoagies. Yes, that's very true.
That's not true.
We got a lot of bullies around
Fink,
here. I'll say
you're getting
that.
hated on. I can tell you this for a fact. I was in line outside the parking lot at 10 in the morning. This guy shows up with a minivan right next to the truck, and we just did the transfer right in.
That's what we do.
These
Yeah,
are
and then what
facts. Stop
happened?
hating.
And then what happened?
Stop.
And then Eric thought it was a good idea to drive back up 95, back down, and we were late to his own tailgate. So, coordination.
Right,
is
it
hard.
happens. It happens.
He's doing the best he can. I have to shout him out, by the way. He looks like the guy who does the Jim McMahon. That guy's become kind of popular. He was at the the Kelsey outing, like doing all the hazing. So funny. I'm in Maniac the other day eating with my family.
Who's funnier, me or him?
I don't know him like that, so I can't say.
Who's
I
funnier,
think
me or
you're
him?
funny.
Thank
You're
you.
funnier.
Okay, thank you.
I'm eating in Maniac, and my kid's like, "Oh, hey, check out that guy!" And it's the Jim McMahon dude. And this isn't like
still in costume
midday on a weekday, and he's
It's
got
like-
the
it's like
he
the
has
sports
the
guy
jersey
thing.
on and the headband. He's just walking around Maniac. I'm like, this guy
like-
never gets out of
He's
character.
probably coming from somewhere.
Remember,
Come on.
like 15 years ago, that school kid who wore a Brett Favre jersey to school every day for like 4 years straight.
Only you remember that, buddy.
Do you think he
Only
has
you.
more than
Google
one
that
McMahon jersey
By the way-
headband, or is he just wearing the same one? every
Devin,
day?
Good
did you ever-
question.
While you're on the air, did you ever see the movie Ladybugs with
No.
Rodney Dangerfield? and-
What? Oh, Dev is famous for not having seen movies. Is that right, Devin?
I just
Yeah.
I'm the
was in here
last person
earlier.
you want to ask that question to. I've never even heard of that before, though.
That's a movie about
It
kids
was a
soccer.
movie. It was a movie where a boy dressed his dad coached a girls' soccer team, and the boy was a really good soccer player, so he dressed his son up like a girl, so the girls' soccer team
Can't
would
do
win.
that anymore.
Anyway, that's besides the point. It's not the point of the story I'm getting at. I was in here earlier, and I've seen this wall like 5,000 times, right? I've never noticed this particular pigeon is eating a hoagie like in the center, like
Yeah.
not from the side where you should eat a hoagie.
Yeah.
From the
You've never
center.
noticed
That is
I
weird.
swear- The first time I was in the coop, I pointed at that pigeon and I turned to Eric and I was like, "Is that supposed to be you? Because it's holding a hoagie."
Oh,
Well, if
Apparently
you're a
it's
bird,
not.
wouldn't you think that's how you would eat it, Meeks?
Well,
If you're
anyway-
holding it
Eric
Yeah,
would
you don't know
never
what it's like to
wearing
be a
the
bird.
Flyers colors, so that's how you know it's.
Do you
not.
remember the comedic actress from the 80s
Do you
and 90s,
remember?
Jack Hay, from 227?
I'm gonna
No.
guess she doesn't.
Well, anyway, this all ties together. Jack Hay was in Ladybugs, right, with Rodney Dangerfield. And there's one scene where she's got a hoagie and she eats it from the middle like this. And this reminded me of Jack Hay. Google Jack
What
Hay
does this have to do with
Ladybugs
Devin?
hoagie. It has
Why would I
nothing-
ever
I'm
understand
just going off on a
anything
tangent.
that you just said in the last 5 minutes?
It's the most random thing I've heard on the podcast
I'll
ever.
be back in a little bit.
Okay,
So,
sounds
for
good.
football
Sounds
season,
good.
Devin, are you have any shows or anything you're doing in particular? Like, what are you doing for football season in your side of it?
Didn't Jesse just
No,
ask that?
Jesse asked for Eagles on Sunday. Are you on any betting shows or anything like that?
Betting.
I am reuniting with my BetQL crew, Sean Bell and Barrett Brooks, every weekend. It's called the Sunday Spread. You can listen to it on the Odyssey app and on BetQL's website and streaming. And we will take you through Sunday's slate of games. I always have a blast with them. So that starts this week, starts week 1, goes all the way through the Super Bowl. I will continue to be on the WIP morning show. And then every week I'll be bringing you fan stories on Fox 29, like I mentioned earlier. So you can check it
Oh,
out.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Amazing.
you for the question.
Nice question,
so
Eric.
Getting back to the Eagles
Great
season off this
question.
Ladybug story.
Yeah, we got to get off this Ladybug story. Jeez.
How do you
Rodney
feel about the
Dangerfield.
Eagles team as a whole going into this game against the Packers?
Another great question.
I think I feel the way from listening to your previous guests and just the general vibe that I get from a lot of Eagles fans and even, analysts is that we don't really know. There's a ton of unknowns going into this season, and we have, 2 first-year offensive defensive coordinators. Like, there's truly, like, what we do know is that the offense has a lot of talent. That's what we do know. We do know, Nick Sirianni's style of head coaching, but we haven't even seen him in the role of head coach that he's taking on, this season and his role in the offense that he's given up this season. So, I'm not too concerned about the offense. If anything, the O-line has some questions. I think it can be a little thin in places like right guard. Obviously, Jason Kelsey is a big loss, but I don't think it's necessarily like a game ruiner. The defense is where I have the biggest questions, and I think a lot of the season will come down to that. I will say this. I could see the Eagles they've gotten off to a hot start the last 3+ seasons. They've won their first game, and I could see them maybe getting off to a slower start this year, just given all the new changes. And now that they're playing in Brazil on a Friday night for week 1.
Yeah, so weird. Okay, so let's say they get like smacked in the mouth a little bit down in Brazil.
Mhm.
Are you going to interpret that as anything more than just a weird first game? Because the fan base is going to be like, Sirianni's got to go. Last season was not an anomaly. This is who they really are. Like, how do you think they have to come out and hold their heads here to show they're going to be legit contenders, or is it just kind of a one-off weird guinea pig Brazil game? Don't make too much of it.
It's a really good question. I hope that they don't get punched in the mouth their first game out. I hope it's at least close. Look, I hope they win. I hope they crush the Packers. We just genuinely don't know. I will say I don't think I would read too much into it no matter what happens, because nowadays, as we've seen, the first 3-4 weeks of the NFL regular season have kind of become like the new preseason, right? Like Jaylen Herz in the starting offense didn't even touch the field. Their first snap playing against the Packers in Brazil will be the first time Jaylen Herz has had, a 300-pound guy in pads running full speed at him with every intention to tackle him. Like, you can say what you want about joint practices. It's not the same. It's just not going to be the same intensity as what you're going to get in a regular season game. So with all that in mind, like, I just think that there's a longer warm-up period and teams have to kind of figure out their identities and who they are. And that can take time. We saw last season, their first game against the Patriots, the Eagles won, but it was a messy game. And you can say that could have been, a sign for what was to come, but it also just takes some time, I think, to get up to full speed. So
week 1 of the NFL is always weird too. It's like always weird. Like every year, there's always some random upsets. Like teams win that like don't win for the rest of the season.
Right.
So
the Chiefs lost their first game
guys.
last year.
Don't buy into this game. Yeah, they lost to they lost to a good team ultimately, but
I think you've seen that a lot, right? Where like the Super Bowl champ loses a game and you're like, oh, I don't know. I agree. 17 games is a long season, but we do have these scars that are still fresh from last year. So
you have those scars. You got to get over it, buddy.
I can't just go into this like fully clean slate, like not even thinking about last year.
Don't worry about it.
All right, Dev. Potentially the last question. I'm not sure.
I got some questions.
I have one.
I have another one.
All right, hold on. Well, let's get Mark involved in the program here. So I'm going to go to Mark real quick. Not the last question.
So, Devin, we've spent some time tonight focused on backgrounds of guests on the
That's
show.
my question.
And we had Chris Long came strong with 2 Lombardi trophies. John Gonzalez had a Philadelphia sign in California pointed towards Philadelphia.
Mhm.
Pat Gallen was locked in his bedroom.
He was on the opposite side of that room.
Folding laundry with a blank wall. You had a very interesting background in past appearances on the show. I know you guys are getting all grown up now and you're in a new apartment. But what went into the thinking here with this mysterious window that we're not
looks like
sure
are you at a
it's
shore
going?
house?
And
I'm down the shore.
photo. Oh,
are you down the shore?
okay.
Yeah, I'm in Stone
That
Harbor
explains
in
it.
a rental house, my parents' rental house. So this is not
Hell
mine.
yeah.
It's like your generic shore
That's beautiful.
artwork.
That
I'm sorry
explains
to
everything.
disappoint. I
Dev,
think
do you know
you'll
what they
like.
call-
I did just set up my new office in our new apartment, and while I don't have the shelves full of Philly sports stuff, I think you guys will like my background. So next episode,
Would love to see.
I'll be home.
We're looking
and
forward to that.
Yeah,
Dev,
I don't
We judge
claim this
guests
background.
based on
This
their
is not-
background.
we judge guests.
No, that explains everything because I expect so much flair from you, and I was just,
I'm
feeling
sorry.
like things were just,
But
Yeah.
I was worried that she
Dev's
was
doing it right. Dev, do you know what they call this week down the shore? The locals?
What?
Local summer. Because
Really?
everybody leaves and it's still summer weather. So a smart person is down there posted up for the local summer. I'm here with these jackasses, but it's still fun. We're having a good
Shuby
time.
Undercover. in
Yeah,
local
undercover Shuby. All right, beautiful.
But I
Well,
guess that doesn't mean you're not still going to be down the shore on Friday night for our Eagles watch party in Ocean City, huh?
oh, are
No, I'll sadly be back. I'll be at the Link on Friday night for what should be a home game, but isn't a home game for the Eagles. So
you? Well, they're-
Oh, right. They're inviting fans in to watch the game. What do you think that's going to be like there? Do you have any idea how many people they're expecting?
I think a lot. I think they're expecting
That's
a lot
so
of
lame.
people because Philly fans, like, we will always show up. So I'm excited, but it's also like I was listening to Pat Gallen on your show earlier, and I totally agree with his sentiment where it's like like there's just something that's kind of missing. Like I don't feel as hype as I would if it was a true home game. I wish that wasn't kind of taken from us and put in Brazil, but it is what it is. So it's still football nonetheless. So it's still exciting.
Yeah. And how do you feel about the whole Friday night thing? Because, we're able to make a night of it. And I kind of like that. Like that's fun, right? If nothing else.
Yeah. I can tell you it's messed up a ton of like just both TV and radio broadcasting. I don't want to say schedules, but like content wise, because it's so like on Fox, we do a Sunday show usually like before the games. And this week it's going to be kind of a post-game situation. On the radio, you don't have that instant reaction like you would have on a Sunday or even a Thursday night. But I'm fine with it. Like I can sleep in on Saturday. So that's great for me. Like it's better. I would prefer Friday over Thursday and I'm okay with it because it's week 1. I think I would have a bigger issue with it if it was like in the middle of the season. It was kind of messing up the player schedules, but
okay.
Week 1.
So if we can summarize your take on this, you still have like summer vibes, week 1, Friday night, Brazil, just have a good time. Don't read too much into it. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. I mean, get high if you want, but you get my point. Like, just have a good time, right? Is that where we're at with this?
Mm-hmm. I think you just summed it up perfectly. Yes. And I think I could be believing all of that because I don't want to get hurt again. But
that is so easy to say until somebody fumbles the ball and like my blood pressure starts fucking,
Yeah. Like Dev, you're going to be on the radio next week if the Eagles get their ass kicked. It's not going to be it was week 1.
No, it's definitely not going to be fun. I think all of the, speculation from the summer.
I think they should start Kenny Pickett next week.
But when they win, the anticipation going into a Monday night home opener after being in Brazil, going from South America to South Philly, it's going to be a fairy tale week.
That's what Devin's saying. That's saying don't get too high, don't get too low. Just go with it. It's week 1. Just have fun with it. That's what I need you guys to do.
All right. Well, Dev, we're going to try our best to channel that energy. And I want to say thank you for appearing on the City Pigeons podcast. As always, Devin's appearance is brought to us by the fine people at the Good Heart Firm. Mr. Mark Goodhart happens to be here today with us. Wonderful establishment. Should you need any counsel in terms of any legal matters, you want it handled by somebody who cares about your matter, not some gigantic firm that has 17 billboards between, downtown and the Walwyn Bridge. Turn to Mark Goodhart, who will take great care of your matter. thegoodheartfirm.com. Mark, how did I do?
Wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, great. Dev, you're the best.
Can't wait to use Mark.
Thank you
look forward to having you.
No booing, Devin. Woo!
No booing. Now hold on.
Thank
Since
you,
the football
Eric.
season
You're the
has
only
started,
one who ever booed her. What? Like now you have to announce to the rest of us not to do it.
I would never do such a thing.
Thank
now,
you.
since we have the football season coming up, I know your schedule gets busy, though. We're going to try to get you in here to give us your take on everything. Oh, I'm not going to let you off the hook this easy. I just remembered, being that you're the only person that ever predicted the exact score.
Give us my FanDuel account is dying.
You have to have a score by now. Lay it on us.
Okay.
Lay it on me.
You guys are so bad at a drum roll. It's ridiculous. It goes like this.
Let me think.
Are you ready?
I want to
Have you thought
go.
Let her calculate.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I'm trying to calculate here. Just give me a sec. I'm really bad at math. 28-21 Eagles.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Let's go. Is that over or under? That's probably under.
Not a
I actually don't know.
I was going to say
That's
21.
and the over-under's
31 Eagles.
Ooh, just over according to Deb.
Vegas knows.
Well,
All right,
it's
bad
two
footing,
defenses
no
who
field goals.
were less than mediocre last season. So assuming that they haven't both just made these massive jumps, I would think that both offenses will score a bit. So we'll see.
How many tush pushes? 0 to 4.
One
One tush push.
For a
There it is.
touchdown, or because there could
It
be
has
others.
to be. Oh, no, I guess it doesn't have to.
I'm calling my
So
bookie
Devin,
right now to get
is
the
this
odds on
the
that.
first score prediction you made of the week? And now, as you head into your betting show,
Yeah,
and
did
the
we
WIP
rush?
show?
Did we
do
rush
you have
the
to stick to
brilliant
the same
prediction
score? Or can
process?
you hedge a little bit and move it around?
If you change your mind, just give us an update.
Last year with week 1, or I don't know if it was week 1 or the home opener.
It was the Vikings game.
It was the Vikings game. I just don't remember if it was like the first game of the season.
I think it was like the second or third.
That one I stuck with the score. See, it's always easier when you have a better sense of like, we don't know anything, which is kind of sums up everything I just said. Like, I need to look at the offense. I need to look at the defense. So come to me before week 2, week 3, and I'll probably be able to give you a better researched prediction. Right now, I'm just like riffing, baby. I'm going off of last season.
Hey, a lot could happen in the next 48 hours too. You know, we just got that late breaking injury news. So we'll stay tuned. And if you change your score, that's okay. But if you happen to get it right again, you'll be a true legend that will walk forever in the halls of Philly folklore.
Here's what I'm kind of interested in. Now, I watched the.
I thought we were wrapping this up.
No,
this better not be about ladybugs or some shit.
Heard of the 1970s?
No, this is an honest Can you guys try to be serious every once in a while?
Right now.
I remember watching the games in like England last year, and they would just randomly start singing "Sweet Caroline" or some dumb song in the middle of each game. I'm wondering what the Brazil crowd is going to be like, because the game's never been in Brazil.
Ole, ole, ole.
Is it going to be mostly Eagles fans? Is it going to be partially Eagles fans and then a bunch of Brazil people who don't know what to cheer for?
I have no idea.
In football, like that's why I don't like this game. It just brings up
you don't like it.
Bad feeling. You got a bad feeling.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, I got you.
Dev, do you have any particular insight on this?
I'm gonna say
I don't know.
Do you think any Green Bay fans will travel to Brazil?
Yes,
any of them?
probably just to wear their cheese heads.
But I did hear somewhere, or I seen a tweet or something, and I could be making this up, and I probably am. But I seen they say 10,000 tickets went to the local fans or something like that,
who are going to come in and kill anyone that's wearing green.
I could make that up.
Does anyone know how easy it would be for a Brazilian to rob a Green Bay person? Like, it would probably be so simple. You probably just have to tap them on the shoulder. They'll look this way and you just fucking take their pocketbook and run.
Yeah, you're right. Well, these are the things we're looking forward to finding out, everybody. What an exciting time.
Sorry for holding on.
Listen,
for my Ladybugs rant.
Everybody, we are 2 days away from the Eagles in Brazil, the weirdest kickoff of
2 days,
any year.
2 days away. 2 days.
Okay, we're going to go into it with an open mind. We're not going to take it too seriously. Thanks to Dev. Dev, we appreciate you. Everybody that's joined in on the show. Hey,
thanks, Dev.
If you, Dev, I'll let you go. You're the best. We appreciate you. No, she's all good. Okay, look,
she hates me.
Chill. If you did join in on the show to see any of these wonderful people we had on, we do implore you to tune in again. We do the show every week on Wednesdays. You can watch from basically any social platform, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, after the fact, Spotify, Apple, whatever, all that same stuff. And we appreciate you tuning in. We're going to get more interesting guests throughout the football season and do lots of enjoyable things, tailgates, events here.
Baptism.
So, yeah, we're going to have a baptism. Do follow along at City Pigeons Pod on the socials.
We're not going to lie.
Subscribe
we probably
on YouTube.
Won't get a better guest than Chris Long.
We may not get a better guest than Chris Long, although
I heard Kelsey's coming on next week.
We got some some stuff cooking. So stay with us. Thank you for giving us a watch. And
hold on before we go.
Yeah.
EAG!